Well, hey everyone, I'm Richard and welcome back to Cowboy Survival. You know, today we're going to do something different. I'm out in a local park, enjoying the outdoors, enjoying the wilderness, and just kind of taking in one of these last really nice days of the fall. And I thought what I'd do is I'd come out and I'd show you a new tarp configuration that I figured out, learned from another website, and I think I'm going to try it out and show it to you today. I'm going to call it a triangle tarp. You could call it a clamshell tarp. What I like about it is it's going to have a floor in it, and it's going to be really great for something that if you need to set it up really fast, you can. So when you get through with this video, if you like it, please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to press that like button, and don't forget to hit that notification button down at the bottom so that when we have other videos come out, you'll be sure and get notification that video has been issued. So with that, let's just get into it. Okay, so for this tarp setup, I'm going to need about 5 things. I'm going to need my trekking pole. It'll serve as part of the integral part of the tarp. The main basis for this tarp is going to be my free Soldier Tarp. All these things that are available, if they're available on Amazon, I've got them linked below. Make sure you click on that if you want to get one of these items. So my free Soldier Tarp, it's about 10 feet by 10 feet approximately, not exactly, but it's a pretty good little tarp. And remember, the only place you can find this is on the Amazon website for Free Soldier. It's not actually on Free Soldier's website, which I don't quite understand. I'm also going to use my Fan BX hexagon tent stakes, which I use, and you'll see these a little later. Remember, I like these because they're hexagon shaped. They have a point on the end, and they have a really nice hook here. Those little orange things that you get like at Walmart, Coughlin sells, I don't like them because your strings, your tie-out strings don't hold to them really well. So I prefer these aluminum hexagon tent stakes. I'm going to use some tie-outs, and these are each one of these is a shank of 10 feet of paracord, and I'm going to show you how I got these tied up nice and small like this so you can get to them and they never will tangle on you. And then finally, I got my little hatchet that I got at a yard sale. You saw this in a video not long ago. I picked this up for $5. Turns out to be a really useful tool. So with that, I'm going to lay out this tarp and we're going to start looking at how we would configure and set up this clamshell type tarp. So I'm going to start out by taking out my tarp, and now I've got other things in this bag. One of the things I've got in this bag is my ridgeline, which I would use if I was going to set this up in a ridgeline configuration, which I'm not today. But that is always in this bag because I never know when I'm going to want to do a ridgeline configuration with this thing. So I don't want to lose this, so that'll go back in the bag. So here's my tarp, and I'm going to roll this thing out, and I'm going to move up here so we have plenty of room to see it. So I'll roll this tarp out. Got to get rid of some of these magnolia cones. Get this tarp rolled out. Remember, it's about 10 feet by 10 feet. And we'll unfold it. Now, when I fold this up, I always fold it up with the part that's going to be inside the tarp. It's going to be folded up so that will never be exposed to the elements. So it's going to be folded out initially as a big giant square. So what's going to be the outset of the tarp will ultimately be right now on the ground. So I moved the camera back just a little bit because I wanted to show you what we're going to do with this. So I'm going to do this now so I can show you. I'm going to turn it at an angle. I'm going to sort of make this with the side coming towards you. Sort of point coming towards you, sort of like a diamond shape. And you're going to see why we're going to do this. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stake down. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stake down my two corners on this thing. So we'll go do that first. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this corner back here. I'm going to bring it down toward the camera. How about that? You can see the little Free Soldier logo there. Okay, so this tent's kind of interesting because, or this tarp, along the ridge line, it's got a string of loops that you can use. And I'm going to use those loops as part of this configuration. So I'm going to go up here and find the center, where this center line on this tarp is. And it's right here. There's actually a nice little hole right there, a nice little grommet. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it right in here. This ground's kind of soft, so it doesn't take a lot of pounding with the hatchet. That's the only reason I really brought the hatchet. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stake out where my quarter items are going to be. So I'm going to come in one from the end, and actually I need to stake down this point right here. Actually, I'm going to leave that point where it is. I'm going to come in one from the end on the part that's at the bottom. I'm going to pull it nice and tight, and I'm going to stake that in. Now I'm going to go over to the other side, do the same thing. So now, I come in, only before I do that, I'm going to take this, I'm going to fold this part up and under. Now I may move these eventually once I get it set up, but it doesn't really matter. Depends on how much floor I want inside this thing. And now I'm ready to really erect this thing. So what I'm going to do next is take my trekking pole. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make my trekking pole a lot shorter. I don't want it this tall. I'm going to shrink it way down, make it about that tall. I'm going to take one of my lines. Now I want to show you what I've done with this line real quick. So you note this line is kind of all kinked up, right? That's because what I did is I set this up in a knot my dad taught me. He used to call it a sheep shank. I don't think that's what it really is, but once you pull this out here, all you gotta do is pull this and everything comes out and there's no kinks in that line. The way you do it is you create a loop, you just pull the other end through. You create a loop, you pull the other end through. Create a loop, pull the other end through. And it does that, and then it's gonna shorten this thing up. This is 10 feet of paracord, but I'm shortening this up, and now I can lengthen it out. I have my paracord, and I can go now use it. Let's go over here. So I'm going to take my tarp. I'm going to make a loop right here. I like to use 2 1/2 inches because I think that's really a great knot to use because it's a nice slip knot. So once I get it tied, if I want to, I can slide this line up and down on that knot. Now I'm going to tie down here. I'm going to tie another loop. And this is just an overhand knot, and I'm going to tie so I can put my tent stake through it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pole with the handle end up. I stick my pole up under here, right up near where the tarp stops. I'm going to take this and I'm going to pull it. I'm going to put it really tight. I'm actually going to be out of camera for a moment, but that's okay. You guys don't mind that. Be out of camera, but now at this point, this tent is essentially done. Now I'm going to actually move these pegs now out. I'm going to move them one down, and you'll see why. Now I can take this and I can fold this now way up under here, and this won't get wet because I now got it out from under the cover, but I get this. Now, it's a little saggy in here, okay? So I might want to fix that. So again, I've got some paracord. I'm gonna undo my paracord loops. I'm gonna tie one down here. See, another way I can do this, I can simply take this and I can move this up. And the further back I put it, the higher this is going to be. See, and I got a lot more space under there. Now, if I really wanted to tie this down, what I'd probably do is take this here and tie this down. I don't like that one. I think I like this one. So I take this and I'm going to tie a couple of half hitches. Get me up another peg. I'll stick this out. 10 feet of paracord is enough paracord that it pretty much will serve any need you have. If I take this and I pull this down nice and tight, and I could do the same thing. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. You know, you don't have a cameraman when you come do these things. You hope that it's going to turn out looking okay. Well, that didn't do right. So I got another loop in this line. So I'm gonna take my peg, stretch this out. I can take my backpack at this point, pick it up. I can toss it up under here. I can crawl under. As you can see, I've got plenty of space. I can stretch out. I'm covered from the weather. I've got a floor, and I've got plenty of places for my backpack. This is an excellent tarp to rest, to take a nap, to set yourself up when there's weather coming. It's a really, really great setup, and I think this is one you ought to take out and try. Now, often these videos don't show you the takedown process. How do you take this thing back down and how long does it take? So what I wanted to do was do a quick video. As part of this, I want to show you how easy this is to take down and put away. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen this up and undo my little half hitch here. And take this out. I'll also bring out my, I'll leave the trekking pole there for a minute. I'll loosen this one. I'll take this one out. I'll have to go back and make sure I get all my pegs. I'll take this one out here. Now, I'm gonna get my pack out of the way. get my trekking pole out of the way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch this thing back out into a square so I can fold it up and get it ready to go home. Oops. So I've got to take out this peg back here. Almost tripped over the tarp there. Pull this out. Take out this corner peg and this corner peg. You want to keep track of your pegs, especially when they're black like this, because you can lose them real easily. They're not real expensive. They cost about 10 bucks. You can get the silver ones for like about 6 bucks. I just kind of like the black ones, so I pay a little bit more for them. I don't know why the black ones cost more. So that's all my pegs except for my pegs on my lines. I'm going to go ahead and grab those while I still know where those are. So there's one peg. Undo the overhand loop on this. The other peg is actually back here behind the camera. So, get this one done. And I'll get the other one, which is right here. And put these cords, these ties, all over here. Count my pegs. I should have a dozen of them. There's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12. Got all my pegs. Put those in my little bag for the next time. Next, I'll fold up my tarp. I want to have my bag handy for when I get the tarp done, so I'll go ahead and get that done. And also take any leaves or anything that's on this, get those off, because I don't want to wrap those up with the tarp. And remember, this is the side here that's going to be folded up inside the tarp. The way you can tell is the logos will be on the outside. I kind of like to fold mine up along that center ridge line. So I'll bring this over here. Bring this one over here. And then I'll straighten them out along that seam that runs right along the center of this tarp. I will then double it over again. At this point, it's kind of like thirds. Okay, so I'm going to fold a third over this way. Actually, I'm going to start with the seam over here. It's easier. Got a leaf in the middle of that I'll get out. Fold it over in a third. Not much there. I'll fold this over, another third. This one I said I sort of tend to crawl down on the tarp so I can get it folded over right. Too far over on that end. There we go. And when you do that, that center seam should be right here at this edge. So now it's just a matter of rolling this thing up. And this may take a moment. I may speed the video up so you don't have to watch the whole thing. Here we go. Now we can start rolling it up. There it is. So now I simply take out my bag. I put that in the bag. Pull it down. And just like that, I'm ready to pack up and we're on our way. There you have it. The clamshell tarp setup for his shelter. Really quick, really simple. It has a floor. You're going to be kept dry. I think you ought to try it out. Remember what we always say here on the channel. Stay strong, stay prepared, and have a blessed day. We'll see you real soon right here on Cowboy Survival.